Hello and welcome to this lecture, and in this lecture what we will do is that we will learn how to go ahead and read data from the Firebase database. So in the previous lecture we have learned about writing data to Firebase, and now let's learn about reading data. So what I'll do here is that I'll pull up the Firebase database assistant, which will provide us the code to read from your Firebase database. So the cool thing about Firebase database is that it actually constantly listens to your database, so that whenever some changes are occurred in the database, you will be notified of the change and the data is going to change eventually. So what you need to do is that first, as usually, you need to get the database reference, and I guess what we will do is that we will get a proper way of doing that so that we don't have to constantly shift this code right here. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create the Firebase database variable over here and the database reference variable as well, so that we don't have to constantly shift those things. So that's going to be myref, and I'm going to delete them from here. So now what you need to do is that you need to go ahead over here, and you do need to get a reference over here. So let me just go ahead and cut this from here and paste it over here. Okay, so once this thing is done, what you could simply do is that you could go ahead and add a value event listener to the reference. And what the value event listener actually does is that it constantly listens to the reference, so that whenever the value inside that particular reference changes, we are notified of that particular change. So we will type in myref dot add value listener, or add value event listener for that matter, and this is going to have new value event listener, and this is actually going to have two methods. So make sure to have a semicolon over here, and the first method is going to contain the code, that is what you want to do when the data is changed, and hence it is actually named as the onDataChange method. And the next method is the onCancel method, which is basically when we fail to read the value from the database. So what we want to do here is that once the data is changed, we want to get the changed value. So we will type in string value to extract the value, and you basically get the value from the data snapshot. So we will type in data snapshot dot get value to get the value, and it's actually going to have string dot class over here. And once this thing is done, we are basically good to go. So once this thing is done, let's go ahead and add a text field over here, so that whenever we change the value, the result is reflected right over here. So what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to type in text view. Let's say it's going to be wrap content and wrap content, and let's specify some random text like demo for the moment, and let's say the ID is going to be text view itself. So once we have this text view, let's go ahead and get a reference to that particular text view over here. So that's basically text view equals text view find view by ID r.id dot, that's going to be text view. Now this is not a proper place to have the text view, but just for the sake of example, I'm going to take it over here. Now once the value changes, you need to set the text view value to this particular value right over here. So we will type text view dot set text, and we will get the value from that particular value, which is nothing but value, and we are basically good to go. So now once this thing is done, in the next lecture what we will do is that we will run this application and see how it performs. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.